Hi, I'm Chris Schleter, Master Gardener, food blogger, and writer. Gardening, cooking, healthy and tasty food is my passion. Welcome to my country kitchen, where we'll cook fast, fresh, with the best ingredients you can find. Come join me now. Welcome to my kitchen today, and today we're going to be showing you how to make Mexican style dishes. We are very lucky here in the United States that we have so many different nationalities, and one of the pluses about that is you can have all kinds of varieties of food for your main dishes and for your meals. But today I'm going to focus on Mexican. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make your own enchilada sauce so you don't have to buy it in a can again. And then we'll cover a couple other dishes that I think are really tasty, but yet different. So stay with me and we'll continue with making some red enchilada sauce. This is just a real basic sauce, and all you have to do is have a few ingredients, a few spices, and then a little liquid. So let me go over what we need. We need some good quality chicken stock. And the spices that we have are good Indian cumin, so good strong cumin, some oregano, and this happens to be preserved from my garden, and some chili powder, and you can choose any chili powder you like, garlic powder, with this happens to be from my garden as well, a little bit of salt, and if you want to have a different flavor with your chili powder, try a chipotle seasoning or try an adobo seasoning. They give it more of a stronger, smokier flavor. So feel free to give those a try. Today we're going to be using just chili powder, and I'm going to show you how simple this is. So first we need to get a little pot here that's going, and to this pot we're going to add some avocado oil, just a little couple tablespoons in here. And we're going to wait till this olive oil gets a little bit warm. And then I have a couple tablespoons of flour in here. And the reason we need flour is to make it kind of thick. One thing about this sauce, you can make it as thin or as thick as you want. You can start with 2 tablespoons and then add more if you like. But you also can simmer this longer and then it'll get nicer and thicker. So totally up to you as to how thick you want to make your sauce. Okay, so I have my olive oil kind of getting warm here, so I'm going to add the flour to this oil. And the reason why we add flour to this is that we have to have this flour pre-cook. If you don't pre-cook your flour, it tastes raw, kind of a raw floury taste in your dish. So it's basically a thickener, so you're making it like a roux. It's a little pasty of a roux. We're going to cook that just for a little bit. And you'll be amazed at how fast this whips up. It just is incredible. And it tastes much better and it's more authentic. Almost all the Mexican restaurants you go to, they have a more of a darker type of an enchilada sauce, and this is basic recipe that you would find in a restaurant. So after we have that cooked a little bit, then we need to add our spices, and I have all the spices mixed in here with the chili powder and the garlic and the oregano. And we're going to make this into kind of like a paste. So you can see it's kind of sticking together a little bit. I want to make sure it's all distributed like that. Okay, then after these spices are toasted and warmed up a little bit, then I'm going to add 2 cups of my chicken broth. I'm just going to add it slowly. And then I'm going to stir it up. Once I get it stirred up, then I'm going to keep adding till I can get this all incorporated into the sauce. And you can see I'm stirring it with a whisk. It seems to work the best. And just kind of gradually get every little piece of the chili powder and everything on the bottom mixed in really good. And Now I'll add the rest of the chicken broth. And basically, that's it. Now we just have to leave it simmer for about anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes till it gets as thick as you want. And after it is thickened to your likeness, then it's ready to use. And this recipe makes about 2 cups. So I store mine in like in a mason jar. You can go ahead and use it right away after you have it cooked. But I like to keep it in my refrigerator for at least about a week for sure it stays in there. But you can also use it for some of the other dishes that we're going to make today. But this is your basic red enchilada sauce. Now we're going to make some quesadillas. These are going to be shrimp quesadillas, so they'll have a little different flavor, but you could always use chicken or pork if you want to. The first thing I'm going to do is brown an onion, or at least make it so it's kind of translucent. And this oil that I use in here, I put a little olive oil in the bottom of the skillet. You also could use avocado oil, or you could use any corn oil or whatever you want to use to make it so it does not stick to the skillet. You just kind of keep sauteing it. And while those are starting to saute, I'm going to add some red peppers. You could use red or yellow or green or orange. But the red peppers give a really nice taste with the shrimp. And we're going to try to get these so they're a little bit tender. So while those are cooking, I'm just going to tell you some of the other ingredients that we have here. Quesadillas are so easy to make. You can make them with just cheese, or you can make them with meat like I'm showing you today. But the ingredients you can use in them are, you can use your homemade enchilada sauce. You can use a lime to squirt in some flavor, especially citrus is great with shrimp or a seafood type. And then you'll need some cheese, and I'm using Monterey Jack cheese because it melts really good and it's a really creamy cheese. And one thing that's going to be a little bit different is I'm going to use some mayonnaise in this dish, and I'll show you where I use it. So you can see here that these are really starting to brown and soften. So I'm going to add my shrimp, and the shrimp, you can see I coated them with the enchilada sauce to kind of sit and marinate for a little while the peppers and onions are cooking. And now I'm going to add that to the dish, and we just cook the shrimp until they're pink, which does not take very long at all. So kind of watch them, because if you have this where they're pink and you let them sit there forever and ever, they get really a rubbery texture. So make sure you cook them fast and at a higher temperature. Now you could substitute, like I said, any other meat with this. And when you do substitute, you would also use your red enchilada sauce with any meat that you use. And you really don't have to add any other seasoning with this. I sometimes will throw in a fajita seasoning or a taco seasoning. That works just fine if you want some extra little punch in there. But you can get by with just the regular enchilada sauce and you still have plenty of flavor here. So let's get this going here. You can see they're starting to turn a little pink. And I am going to use a standard size tortilla for this. And what we have to do is we have to fry this on the skillet, but instead of using a butter on the back, that's where my mayonnaise comes in. So I'm going to quickly spread mayonnaise on each side, real thin, not thick at all, because we're going to use this like a butter. But I found out if I use mayonnaise, it really browns the tortilla a lot better. It gets a nicer, crispier kind of a texture of the tortilla. Tortillas are wonderful. You can use them for so many things, from breakfast to lunch to dinner and even desserts. So that's something you should always have in your pantry or freezer. It's a really go-to quick meal. And you can see, look at that shrimp. That smells good. Get that Mexican flavor in there. And they're almost ready here. So it doesn't take long for shrimp to cook. And while those are getting ready, I'm going to get a lime cut up here. And I'm going to squeeze a little bit of lime juice in the skillet. Get that lime flavor. You can use a little bit. You don't need a whole lot. Otherwise it's going to be too bitter. a real sour taste. You don't want that. Just a little bit to give it a little bit of brightness in there. Now you can make this for any size group. I'm just making for a couple here, but you can double and triple this, so you make sure you have enough for as many people as you need to make tortillas for. And the key to it is making your sauce and your meat in here ahead, putting it into a bowl, and then start the frying of the quesadillas. And I would say that that is perfectly done. So you can see how it's kind of a light pink color. And as they sit, they will also switch colors to it. It'll keep on cooking a little bit longer. So I'm just going to put this into a bowl. I'm going to try to get all that goodness out of the pan here. So I can leave our shrimp right in there. And then you can see I got a little bit of a crust on that pan. So I'm going to try to get some of that off. Just by putting a juice in there to marinate it. So it kind of gets some of the golden off, because if you refry in this pan, then it won't stick as bad. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and get that pan nice and clean. So now you can see it's ready for us to fry in, and for that I'm going to add a little olive oil in the bottom. Just going to get this all coated. Now we just have to let that come to temperature. Now you can see that the peppers in here are fairly cooked. If you wanted a little bit more crunch, you could add a few more raw ones in there, and I will probably do that when we get cooking. But all you have to do here now is put this side with the mayonnaise on the bottom and let that start to get brown. And this is the same way you would heat up tortillas, like if you're using them for a taco or a burrito. You should always warm up your tortilla because they are more pliable and they don't fall apart as easy. You can do it in the microwave if you want, but I say a skillet works just fine. If you happen to have a gas stove, throw them on your gas burner until they're a little blackened and charred, and that's all you have to do. And I can see this is getting a little bit hotter here. So now we can add some of our quesadilla ingredients in here. And for this, I'm going to add some of this mixture of the shrimp and the peppers right on there. One thing about a quesadilla, you can't pack it on too thick, because otherwise it's really hard to eat and it's hard to flip. So we're gonna just get this real carefully around the edges here. And then I'm going to put on my cheese. And I usually put ample amount of cheese on there. One thing about quesadillas is children can make these very easily. So if you give them ingredients, they can very easily just have some guidance and do this part all by themselves. I'm adding a little bit of cilantro in to this quesadilla. And I'm just going to add a tad bit more of the enchilada sauce. You could also put salsa in here as well. Now we need to put our topping on. So make sure you have this side up so it's ready to flip. And I use my good old trusty pancake spatula because it's nice and wide and it flips really good. So now we just have to let this get brown on that side, and that won't take very long at all. And you can serve almost anything with quesadilla. You can serve a dipping sauce if you want to. You can use salsa. You could also just put sriracha or something on there. That's a nice heat sauce. You can use that too. But I'm going to top these with a little bit of sour cream and some cilantro and then some green onions. So I'll get those here so I'm ready for that. Here's some green onions, so we'll use that. And these are almost ready. You can kind of tell. And if it starts to stick, just kind of move it around in your pan. It should wiggle like that, so that way you know it's not sticking. What's good about this, you can make this all in one pan, and you can just keep on making and making them, and everybody can put their own ingredients inside that they want to use too. This is getting about ready. Now, some cheeses that you can use with this is a Monterey Jack, like I have there. You can also incorporate a cotija cheese, which is a Mexican cheese that crumbles, and a quesadilla cheese, which is just a small little soft creamy cheese. So you can use either of these cheeses in any of your Mexican dishes as well. Actually, if you use them, they'll be more authentic. So try those. And I think we have achieved. Yes, I'll flip this over so you guys can see what that is like. See how perfect that is? That's exactly what you need it to be. So now that we have this completed, you could just cut this and eat it right away, but I always like to top it with something that's a kind of tasty and make it a little bit more interesting to eat. So I just kind of make it into a circle, and then I cut it up into like pie sections. So I'm doing some sour cream on the top, and you can see it's nice and warm, so it's just really melting nice on there. I'm also going to add a little bit of these red peppers, the fresh red peppers on top. That adds color, and it's so important to have color in every dish that you make. And then I'm going to add some cilantro in here. And then I'm going to use some of this soft cheese. I'm just going to grate a little bit on top. And then I'm going to take this lime again and put a little bit of the lime right on top of there. And you can see it's really looking like a Mexican dish now. And I have a little bit of sauce here, so we're going to add this on. Now you could also put a dipping dish on the side with some sauce on it. But I'm just doing a little bit on top. And then I'm just going to cut green onions all over on here. Even though we have onions inside of this, the green onions will definitely make a difference when you're biting into this first couple bites. It really gives it more of a little fresh flavor, and you have a little bit of a little tastiness from the onion there. So you put that on there. And then you can just cut this in half. And cut it in half again. And I'm using a good serrated knife, or you could use a pizza cutter. And then you just serve the wedges on a plate, or leave it as is and people can come and take them right off of this plate here. So this is an easy shrimp quesadilla that you could serve along with some rice, some Mexican rice. You'd have a really great meal with this. So give this recipe a try. It's very simple, and it's tasty.